Yes, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome back to Football Heritage TV. First of all, apologies. It's hair day today, so there's no product in it, which is why it looks an absolute shambles. Apologies. I look a mess. I get it. I get it. And no, this is not Chelsea. This is Italia. Today we're in Italy, looking after and a homage to Igor Tudor and where he had his best success as a manager and a player. I've got Rain. I've got Chris. Look how happy they are. Look how happy they are as Spurs fans right now. They're very happy. We're doing well, and we will get into it. Lads, just before we start, are you both good aside from Tottenham Hotspur?
Yeah, other than Spurs, very good. Thank you, Savva. Hope you are.
Yeah, had a cracking week. Been a good week. Yeah.
Yes, I woke up to a YouTube message saying it's fans like me that are the problem because I hounded out Conte. We're going back to apparently Conte now. That's the reason why we're. I love it. I love it. Guys, let's dive straight in because Chris, I know you haven't got a lot of time today. This is now 5. By the way, everyone in the chat, hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Smash the like button. Welcome. I hope you're well. Please locate your nearest fire exit. Keep it respectful in the chat. If you're going to troll, I'm all for the trolls, but learn how to spell. I only like grammatically correct trolls. I don't like trolls that can't spell. Chris, that's 5 on the bounce, and not in a good way. It looks like the performances are getting worse. Everyone is scoring plenty of goals past us. What is going on, Chris? I'm going to say, Christopher, I'm angry. Christopher, what is going wrong?
So I was walking to the ground last night, and there were the usual shenanigans coming out from Twitter, and one of them suggested we might try something different, go with Kinski. There was a suggestion that we would go with Tell, Simmons, Mwani, and then Solanke or Richarlison up front. I thought for a moment, well, if we go give it a go, that's pleasing. Then the team sheet drops on me, and it's only when the game kicks off I realise that we've deployed Pedro Porro as the right-sided centre-back in a back 5. And then in the midfield, you've got no creativity at all. And you've got Tell on the left. You've got Mwani, who will go down along. In fact, he's surpassed Ndombele as our worst ever French signing, in my opinion. And then you've got Solanke.
Could you remove the word French?
Yeah. So we've
Could you
got.
just say one of the worst ever signings we've made.
Yeah, we're deploying square pegs around holes. That new manager bounce that most teams experience. Unsurprisingly, Tottenham haven't, and the players don't look as if they're up for it. The night before, I sat and watched the flick between the West Ham Fulham game and the Nottingham Forest Man City game, and both Forest and West Ham showed determination, grit, a team playing for each other, and both those teams were trying to get themselves out of the sticky situation. Same can't be said about Tottenham. We're heading down a tunnel at 150 miles an hour.
Yeah, not good, is it? I mean, Rain, it's there hasn't been a new manager bounce. I guess there's some that thought there would be, there's some that thought there wouldn't be. Are you surprised that there's been no new manager bounce? Or are you?
I was crossing my fingers that there was going to be a new manager bounce. It did seem a bit bonkers. I get that we had that time, that break, right, before the Arsenal game. But it did seem a bit bonkers to give the new manager the Arsenal game as their first game. But, you know, everyone was reasonably saying, well, that was a lost game anyway. But am I surprised? No, because, you know me, Savva, I've been on here. We've had a good chinwag about it. I've been very, very consistent. Coach is not the problem. Coach is not the problem. The problem is the squad make. I don't even, people are going on at the players. I don't even think the players are particularly the problem. It's the fact that we've got no left winger. We now have no right winger. We've got a 19-year-old Brazilian who looks all right, but there's a reason he got a yellow. I didn't actually watch the game last night. I was out on a dinner thing. but I've watched it back, and there's a reason that he got a yellow card yesterday, and that's because he's not up to speed in the Premier League, right? This kid, he clearly is going to overreach. He's clearly got talent, fair enough, but it's the classic. We're going to develop him whilst he's playing in our first team, and do you know what? He's going to get yellow cards. He's probably going to get red cards because he's going to overreach because he's not there. He's not ready for the Premier League yet. So
Ray, can I just say this is a perfect example for all those that just say things like chuck in Luca Williams-Barnett, chuck in Ulasesi. I think this is what people have got to understand, that it doesn't matter how talented you are. If you're not ready physically, mentally, if you haven't developed into that player yet, it's very difficult to just chuck in young players and expect them to hit the ground running, right?
Yeah, and like even Archie Gray, I watched it, and he is, again, he's clearly got talent, right? But he's an 18, 19-year-old kid, and there's still a kid who needs to grow into his body. He needs to build up his muscle. He needs to develop his physicality, which is compulsory in the Premier League. You cannot, in the Premier League, it is absolutely compulsory. It's mandatory to have a physical presence. So this kid who's got technical ability is being bullied in the Premier League, and he's overstretching himself. He should not be developing as an 18, 19-year-old in our first team, not squad, first team on the pitch. He should be getting 10, 15 minutes, 10, 15 minutes, 10, 15 minutes. Yeah, Marios.
Do you want to explain to some fans that don't quite get it? Like, Chris, I'd like your take on this after Rain, in terms of everyone saying just chuck in these 17, 18-year-old kids into this mess. I mean, Rain, I'll let you finish off, but this is part of the problem, is that we've got so many young players that there's no leaders in there. There's no fighters. It's children leading children. Tell, Bergvall, Sarr, Gray, Sosa. It's not right.
Yeah, I mean, the reason why we are where we are is because we've replaced Kane with Richie. We replaced Son with a 19, 20-year-old Tell. Yeah, we've replaced, I don't know, Dembele 5 years later with an 18-year-old Archie Gray. You don't replace an experienced, qualified player with a kid and then let him develop in your team. But the reason why Pep Guardiola didn't play Foden in his first team properly until he was 21 is because he was making sure that Foden was ready for Man City's first team. It's not that he didn't think Foden didn't have technical, skills with a Z. It wasn't that he, didn't have techers. It's that Pep Guardiola knew that he wasn't physically, mentally, and tactically all of the other leagues capable and ready to play in Manchester City's first team. So when we look at Williams-Barnett, kid's got skills, kid's got talent. Is he going to be able to play 90 minutes at the pace and physicality that you have in the Premier League? Here's a heads up: the answer is no. And if you're giving any other answer than no, then you don't understand. Not only do you not understand football, but you don't understand sports. You don't understand competitive, elite level sport. That's just the way it is. We should be playing players who are between 22, 30, and you play, anybody who's over 30, you'd hope they're already in the team. They're going to give you experience, but you're not going to get running out of them. Any idea that we are playing 18 to 20 or 16 to 20-year-olds is just suicide.
Well,
in Premier League.
Chris, let me ask you on this, because lots of people have been saying, Sosa's got to play. There's also people who want to see Luca Williams-Barnett. And by the way, I agree with Rain, Chris. When I've seen Luca Williams-Barnett, you can see that the boy is a very talented footballer. But Chris, there is a massive difference, isn't there, between being the best at the under-19s and then coming into a midfield against people like Sander Berg, Adam Wharton, going into, like, we want him to go into the midfield against Atletico Madrid's central midfielders who are Spanish internationals. It's a massive ask, isn't it?
Yeah, and we're in the situation we are entirely of our own doing. We talk about replacing the likes of Son and Kane. We've never replaced them. We've downgraded them with lesser options and cheaper options. Our whole squad assembly has been like a machine gun. We've been firing, spraying bullets all over the place without accurately targeting what we needed. And we haven't got those mature seasoned pros that can hold the hands of their younger contemporaries through the game and help develop them on the training pitch and usher them through 90 minutes. You remember when we had one of our better defensive partnerships, we had Toby Alderweireld and Jan Vertonghen. Well, when they brought Davison Sanchez into the team, he wasn't a great player. He had the ability, you could see throughout the game, they were talking to him, they were showing him the hand movements, they were showing him where he needed to be. When he played with them, he looked a reasonable player. When he was exposed for the lesser player he was. But in that midfield, when you had your Scott Parkers, your Luka Modric's, your Moussa Dembele's, even your Moussa Sissoko's, you had experienced men. At the moment, we're asking children to support children, and it's who is the biggest voice in the playground, as opposed to having the older kid that you all look up to and admire. So undeniably, Luca Williams, Barnett and others have the talent. Are we prepared to break them when their more mature senior club mates have failed so far this season? If they go down without a whimper, the question is, do you try and get a tune out of the youngsters who go in there and show some energy and play for the badge? Or is it too soon, too early, and the risk could be far outweigh the benefits?
I think the interesting thing, Chris, as well, for me, when talking about this, the young thing, and as I said, I'm very lucky. I've been around youth football at 2 Premier League football clubs, and you get to speak to a lot of coaches, a lot of young players, their parents and everything. And they all understand that as much as they want to be chucked in, they also understand that it has to be the right time for their development at that young age. Can you imagine right now turning around? Bearing in mind, we've not won a game in the league, Chris, for 10. If I'm 11.
Yep.
11 or 12 games, whatever it is, we have 11. We've not won for 11 games in the Premier League. Can you imagine turning around and going, right, Luca Williams, Barnett, we're shit. We haven't won a game for 10. The fans are booing. Yeah. The media are ripping us to pieces, right? Every team is battering us. We've got no confidence. We've got no shape, no identity. I'll tell you what, 17-year-old Luca Williams Barnett, go on. That'll be good for your confidence. Surely, Chris, we have to take that into account, right? Like, it's not good for them.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. You've got to see what is the sensible thing as opposed to what the heart might tell you. So you need to think with your brains. Like, maybe not quite as young, but we got 24-year-old Kinski sitting there, when Vicario's generally been terrible week in, week out, yet we accept mediocrity. We aren't prepared to ruffle the apple cart. And there's one who continues to get picked it week in, week out. When was the last time that man got anywhere near a penalty kick that he's faced?
Oh, God,
you knew as soon as Palace got that kick last night, he wasn't getting anywhere near that. But then when Mickey van der Ven gets sent off last night, who does he pass the armband to? Pedro Porro. So we've got this supposed leadership group. They are the problem because they are mentally fragile individuals who aren't committed to the cause. And this is the whole Tottenham thing. From a recruitment perspective, how important ethos is to the company or the organisation's objectives. It's all about people being the right fit to promote the cause. We've got 11 mercenaries on that pitch. None of them, with the exception of Paps Gray and Dan So at a push, none of them are buying into it. None of them are prepared to stand alongside you in the trenches. They've all checked out mentally and physically.
Yeah, I mean, Lorraine, Chris, I'm going to say this. Chris is 100% wrong. Not according to me, according to Igor Tudor, who has said the boat is going in the right direction. How we laugh. Chuckle, chuckle, chuckle. Chris, is the boat the Titanic? Is that what he is talking about? Because what direction? And does Igor Tudor think we're idiots when he says, you know, I saw good things tonight. We're going in the right direction. What is this, Rain? What?
So I texted you last night on the train on the way home when you sent me that link. My initial thought was he's captaining one of either two boats, the General Belgrano, but you war historians will know as an Argentinian ship that was sunk during the Falklands, or he's Captain Edward Smith, the captain of the unforgettable Titanic. The only direction that the boat that all of our players are on is heading is to the bottom of the seabed, because there is no direction, there is no control, there is no forward propulsion. It's one big mess. And for somebody to come out and say stuff like that, I was listening to somebody on Talk Sport this morning. You interviewed him, the Moose, the West Ham fan, and he's Igor, I have no idea what you're talking about. On one thing you're saying you're in problems, then he said it makes no sense at all. And I was sat there at 11:20 last night on the train heading home, having left at the 60-minute point, and it was the quickest walk from the stadium to Seven Sisters I've ever done in my life. Thinking exactly the same. You just try and make it make sense. You can't.
Yeah, you got to laugh, Rain. I mean, look, it's as I've maintained from the get-go. I've got no opinion either way on Igor Tudor, because I am firmly, you all know this, I'm not going to be a flip-flop. You all know I'm firmly in the camp. I don't believe any manager sorts this out. Now, we might scrape out of relegation, but I don't believe any manager comes in and suddenly we go, oh my God, look at the team. They play really well. But is this appointment, and I can't believe this is so Spursy, Rain, after 3 games. Is this appointment starting to look like we panicked, sacked a manager we didn't back without a plan, and then have had to go to Paratici, who's left the club, for his old plan? Is this starting to look farcical?
How dare you accuse this club of not having a plan? How dare you? That's it. You and me, we're done. That's it. That's not how dare you. Of course it is. And they've gone, the plan that they've gone with is, you know, a guy who's got no Premier League experience.
Lost his last 9 games for Juventus.
Lost 9 games for, thank you.
12 pounds, let's not forget
it. He's on a 12-game losing streak.
Yeah.
Welcome to Spurs. He's perfect. He's perfect for Spurs. This is the plan, Rain. How dare you suggest there's no plan, Rain? There's a plan. There's a plan.
We've gone from nice guy Frank to hard man Tudor, right? It's like classic. It's classic Spurs, isn't it? It's classic Spurs. We're too attacking, so we'll just get a defensive coach. It's just like yeah, because you can just switch like this. That's it. You just switch. It's not going to confuse players. It's not going to upset players. It's not going to. So they were getting nice guy. Now they're getting hard guy. And there's clearly, you know, there's a communication barrier. I understand. Like when I understood what he was saying. What he was, it's just.
He wants the right people on the boat, those that aren't prepared to.
It's like get on board or F off. Is what he's saying. He's saying get on board the boat because we're going in this direction, or you can F off. But unfortunately, there's a language barrier, and he hasn't said it right, and that's. I
get it.
And human interaction is about being able to communicate properly. So they've got this guy who knows what he wants to say, but can't say it in the language that he needs to say it. So it's, you know, it doesn't matter whether.
Rain, right?
Yeah.
Look, and bearing in mind, so this is me playing devil's advocate, guys, right? Because sorry, I've just realised what Chris has got written under his name. I've just realised what he's got written there. The English National Incompetency Company. I love that. By the way, guys, just quickly, as an offset, yesterday I was at the Premier League head office. And as I walked in, they're really nice when you go there. They're like, welcome to the Premier League. How you doing? There's a great big, like huge, maybe 20 by 20 kind of sign on the wall with the light behind it with the Premier League logo. And then hang on, I'll show you, right? And then all of the club logos, right? All of the club logos. And this sums up being a Spurs fan, right? So when I went in there, right? So there's that, right? I don't know if you can see there's the big so I turn around to the girl behind the reception and I said, so when my club gets relegated, do you just etch that out and etch a new one in, or do you have to build a whole new sign? And she went, who's your club? And I went, Spurs. And she went, this isn't even funny. She went, me and my dad are season ticket holders. I was like, oh my God, like you can't even have a joke about Spurs anymore. Anyway, I digress. The worrying thing, guys, for me is, and this is somebody that doesn't rate the players. I know everyone backs them. I don't think this is a good squad at all. Maybe 3 or 4 of them in a different environment, in a different setup, sure. But this is now 3 games, right, guys? This is 3 games, 3 different sets of tactics, or if you could call them tactics, changing the 11 every week. I have no idea what he's doing. You've got Porro, who's the right wing back. We finally play wing backs, and the only wing back in the club is playing right centre back. Archie Gray, who can play centre back, is playing right wing back. You've got a 19-year-old kid playing left back, diving into tackles. Surely you would have said to him, just keep it calm, keep on top of Munoz. Like, I guess the question I'm getting to is whether I like Tudor or not, what is he trying? Can anyone see what he's trying to do with his tactics? Anyone see at all?
Yeah, the Porro right back thing is the Conte system. Do you remember he used to play? Who was it? He used to play fullback, and Southgate played it for a while as well. Do you remember?
Yeah.
You go with Walker. That's it.
Yeah.
So you go back 3, and on the right hand side, you put on the right hand side of the back 3, you put a bombing fullback, so that when you go forwards, you convert it into a 4, and they make some width. The problem is this is a highly technical.
Guys, I'm going to have to drop, but I might join you back again later. Cheers, guys.
Yeah, see you next week. Bye. Cheers, mate.
The problem is this is a highly technical system. There's a lot of interaction between players. There's a lot of you need to know when that player is going, because everybody's got to shift across. When that player goes, everybody else has to shift in. And you know what? When they come back, everything has to come back again, and it's not simple. It's not sprites on sprites on a screen who are shifting around because the AI is sorting it out. These human beings with human being brains.
See, Rain, sorry to interject, but this is why when people think that you can just switch up your tactics from game to game, if you are not used to playing this way, then you are not used to playing this way. I know that sounds the obvious, right? Pedro Porro, I've never seen him play that position for Tottenham before. He's never played the right side of a 3 and then having a wing back. But we put him in there and we go on. Yeah, this system looks good. Systems take ages to be implemented. So, for example, when people want to talk about Pochettino, if everyone remembers, when Pochettino first came to Spurs, the first 4 or 5 months was not good, Rain. It was not, we all remember Poch for what it developed into. But when Poch first joined, he didn't just go, right, this is my style of play. And all the players went, oh, we're great. We know how to play it. They developed into it. This is now against Arsenal. He played Paulinho in the back, right? He went for the 3-4-3, if I'm not wrong, against Arsenal. Then against Fulham, he went for some sort of disjointed 4-4-2 with Simmons and Gallagher on the wings. Then yesterday he went to the wing backs, but with 2 up front or whatever he was doing there, but with players again out of position. Then when we went down to 10 men, Conor Gallagher gets shoved out on the right wing, and you're like, and then people are going, oh, Gallagher's shit. Well, yeah, no shit, Sherlock. This guy is not a right winger. He doesn't want to play on the right wing. I'm just confused by at least, do you know what? This isn't about sticking up for Frank, but at least with Frank, I felt I knew what we were doing. I know we weren't good at it, but I felt like I knew when we played the 4-2-3-1, for example, I knew that the job was for Paulinho and Bentancur to protect the back four, right? And try and get the ball forward quickly. Now I have no idea what we are trying to do as a football club, Rain, at all. I just don't get it. I don't know what we are.
Yeah, so again, we go to, you go from a manager who was playing four at the back, 4-2-3-1, or effectively 4-2-3-1, although he didn't have a left winger, so he couldn't really play 4-2-3-1. It was well, I don't know what it was, but it was definitely four at the back and two double pivots. Right? Yeah. Whatever then happened up top because he had no players, I don't know. To now three at the back. So again, it's the P word. It's the plan word. We've gone from a manager who at the start of the season had some stability in terms of not conceding goals at the start of the season, at least 4-2, and a lot of fans were very upset with that. I think everybody would take it now. If everybody, I think everybody would take it now if we're eking out those draws and wins that were at the start of the season.
I think, as I said at the beginning of the season, right, we are not very good going forward. We don't have a lot of attacking players. I think Thomas Frank understood at the beginning that you need the double pivot of Bentancur and Paulinho to protect the back four because we are going to not have a lot of the ball going forward. Our fans all lost their mind and went, it's really boring at home. But if you actually look in that first third of the season, we were picking up points. Whether we were playing well or not, we were picking up points. The moment we came away from the Paulinho-Bentancur double pivot, no one wants to admit this, by the way, but the moment we came away from that, we started to look right. We went like that. And this is why, because you got fans like Marios that sit in the chat and go, I want to see attacking football. By the way, Rain, we all want to see attacking football. But when we see 11s like this, who are you attacking with? Look at that 11 that started yesterday. Who are you attacking with? Who's creating?
So let's get this out there, right? So against let me just there was a whole Mawani hoo-ha after the Fulham game, and after the Arsenal game when he scored, and there was a massive Mawani's fantastic. Mawani has to play. And I was sitting there, I was talking to this people, I was like, it was a really good goal. I really enjoyed it. But do you know what I saw for the whole game? I saw a guy ambling around, not being effective at all, not showing for his teammates, not being able to hold up the ball, and admittedly was up against, Gabriel and whoever, whatever it is he's doing, etc. But just because he scored a good goal in that 5-second moment, that doesn't mean he had a good game. And now, surprise, 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 he doesn't score, and everybody's like, he's rubbish. Yeah, do you know what? He was actually rubbish before. He just had a good 5 seconds. That's the reality of the situation. Tell. Everybody gets very, very excited about Tell because he's busy. He's a bit of a show pony. He's really good on the ball. He does lots of, fancy stuff and then does nothing with it. He's got no end product at all. And this isn't his fault. This is a 20-year-old kid who's learning how to play men's football. And again, we come back to he's learning how to play men's football in our first team. Right? So, and I don't want him to learn how to play men's football in our first team. I want Tell in 3 years' time, when he's learned how to play men's football and has learned that not only do you do the fancy stuff, but sometimes you do 40% of the fancy stuff and then you're more effective. Do you know what I mean? At the moment,
completely agree.
At the moment,
I've
like
got people saying to me from last night, "Oh, tell tries. Sure, that's great. We're Tottenham. We shouldn't be having players that try." Tell for me is another one, right? Who's not quite good enough. I'll caveat by saying, yeah, it doesn't matter what I think of him. Runs around. When he gets the ball, looks like he's going to do something, but doesn't actually do anything. And then fans go, cool, he's had a good half. And you're like, no, he hasn't. Now, let me show you this, Rain. Against, I'm at the stage where I don't really think it matters. But can't we just go with what we've got available right now? Can't we just go back to basics? Something like, I don't know, just for example, right? Can't we just go back to basics? Something like this, where you get square pegs in square holes, right? Can't we just go back to basics? Get Richarlison, who is a battling centre forward, because I'm going to say it, other than the goal, Solanke and Mawani were horrific, right? There was no fight from them. There was no passion. There was no pressing, right? Whatever people think of Xavi Simons, he has to play. He's the only one that wants to get the ball in the final third on the half turn and drive forward. He is the only one. Now, it doesn't always work, but you saw it in the second half. When he gets the ball, he tries to go past his man in the middle, and he got taken down for free kicks. Gray, I think, deserves to play. I want to see that midfield battle there is what I would be going for, especially the fact that we've got Liverpool and Atletico Madrid next. But instead, Rain, we keep going to all of these weird free, like even when we went to a back four the other day, Gray was out of position at left back, you know, Simons out of position on the left wing, Gallagher out of position on the right wing. Why can't we go back to basics? Like, surely in a relegation battle, basics.
Well, I mean, the reason that Gray's playing left back is because we don't have a left back. You know, that's so he's played. What have I heard? I've heard him described as a Swiss Army knife. We're playing him all over the place. I'm not saying we should play him left back. By the way, I'm not saying he's our left back. I'm saying we're desperate.
We're desperate. For sure.
Why can't we play this? Because we hired a guy who plays 3-4-3. we hired, and every manager does it. Every single manager in the world does it. Doesn't matter whether they're Bielsa or every manager except the extreme exceptions like Ancelotti. Ancelotti doesn't do it, but I can't think of any others. They all have their system. They all like Amorim. You know, I'm dying on the hill. This is my
yeah.
They all do it. They all do it. Anybody who thinks that managers don't have systems, again, watch more football. So we hired a guy who plays 3-4-3. But yeah, I agree. And funnily enough, I watched a Tim Sherwood video, and he did exactly what you did. He went, we need to play, but for two solid central midfielders, one of whom for me has to be Gallagher. Well, I'll come on to Gallagher in a second, and give a platform for the attacking players. It makes sense. It's again Sherwood, somebody who understands Premier League football, understands that you have to win that midfield battle in the Premier League, and yeah, the reason why we're not going to play that is because they went and got somebody who doesn't play that.
I'll tell you what, right? When you look at the Premier League, let's bring up the Premier League table, because that's always nice to look at this time of the year when you're in a relegation battle.
I've been avoiding it, actually.
Well, I'm afraid there is no avoidance here. So when you actually look at, let's be fair, right? What Palace and Brighton have done, Palace and Brighton have taken themselves out of the battle, right? Let's be brutally honest. Palace are now 10 points clear of relegation. They are not going down. Brighton are 9 points clear. there's no way West Ham have a 10-point swing on Brighton. So this is now between those four sandwiched in, right? Between Leeds, Tottenham, Forest and West Ham. Now, when I watched Leeds the other night, I know they lost, but when I've watched Leeds this last time, right? When I've watched Leeds this last sort of month or so, they're very organised. They work super hard for each other. And you know what? They just stick to the basics. So the midfield three that sit in front of the back four are everywhere. They are just absolutely everywhere. They will fight, they will battle, they will tackle, they will pass, right? The urgency, the energy. I watched Forest. Forest have settled into the 4-2-3-1 again, right? And again, square pegs, square holes. They look a decent team, right? Decent. I'm not going overboard, but they look settled. West Ham, since they brought in Tati Castellanos and Pablo, have a settled team. They look different. They're picking up points. Now, don't get me wrong. Look at West Ham. They've won 2 of their last 6, but they've only lost 2 of their last 6. So in that time, they've taken 8 points. If they take 8 points every 6 games, they're going to stay up. So I look at them. Then I look at Tottenham. We're the only one trying to do some sort of weird hybrid formation, which doesn't really work. We're the only team that don't have square pegs and square holes. We're the only team that don't seem to fight. And we're the only team where it seems inevitable that the moment we step on that pitch, we're beaten. And the difference, Rain, for me, those 3 clubs, they're used to this. In some way, shape or form, these clubs have all been up and down in however many years, right? They're used to this. Spurs, we're not. Our players, we think we're better. Our players like Mickey van der Ven, he thinks he's Real Madrid level, right? The rules don't apply to Mickey van der Ven. Romero doesn't care. These players think they're better than that. Mawani doesn't want to be here. He's better than Spurs in his mind, right? So I don't know how we get to where Forest West Ham, I can't believe I'm saying this, Rain. Sorry for the long-winded, but I don't know how we get to what Forest, West Ham and Leeds are doing just to survive. I'm going to call it. I think we go. I think we go, Rain.
So I look at our run of results up to the Frank sacking. Yeah.
Yeah.
And we were eking out points. We were getting there were a few draws in there. We won against Palace, which obviously we hit away. And we were eking out a couple of draws here and there, and people were losing their minds. Again, I go back to it, what we would give for eking out a couple of points, a point every 3 games. We would give our right arms for it right now as Spurs fans. Yeah. A point every 2 or 3 games would probably keep us up. And what we've traded that in for, from a guy who was struggling but was getting something out of this squad.
Yeah.
Right? Out of this Frankenstein's monster of a squad. This warped. Yeah, exactly. Right? So Brentford, Sunderland, Burnley, City. Yeah, we were getting some points. That's 4 values. 4. Without those 4 points, we are 18. Yeah. Right.
But we've swapped that. And by the way, look at the goals against column since Tudor's come in compared to before. Now, don't get me wrong. Have a look. It's 9 goals in 3 games. But you look against Brentford, clean sheet. Sunderland only conceded 1, right? Now 4, 2, 3. I'm going to say it, and this isn't, again, I hope this is taken in the right way. This isn't about, oh my God, Frank. But if you are going to change manager when you have 13 first-team injuries and you bring in a manager that has a style of play that our squad does not suit, we're kind of where we do. I know this sounds weird, Rain, but aren't we kind of where we deserve to be? Like these decisions are just atrocious.
Not the fans. The fans are not where we deserve to be. The club is absolutely where it deserves to be. And I've just seen Epic. He said Frank was a better option than Tudor. He was, but it doesn't mean that we should have stayed with Frank. What me and Savva are trying to say is, if you go from Frank to somebody else, you have a rational plan to transition from this to that. But what they did was they went this over here, this green circle of a plan. This isn't working. So over here, we're now going to go for a blue hexagon, and it's just like they're completely different. And everybody's supposed to just be able to transition to change from here to here. Do you know something humans don't do very well? Change. We're really, 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 really bad at it. We're so bad at it that in the UK, like 10, 15, 20% of our workforce is actually sort of involved with making changes from one thing to another. It's all called transformation. It's a massive, massive thing. We're really bad at it. And at Spurs, not just now, but going back in history, like going back in the last 6 years, flipping from Ange to Frank, flipping from Conte to Ange, right? We going from a win now manager to a project manager. We constantly throw crazy amounts of change into this football club.
Yeah, it's
when
just
some
mental.
kind of stability it is needed. And that doesn't mean keep Frank. That, it means go and get, forgive me, go and get somebody like Harry Redknapp, go and get somebody like Sherwood, go and get somebody, I don't know
what, Wayne? They
like
should,
Dyche.
for me,
Go and get somebody who's going to play that 4-2 and might get a little bit more out of those players.
For me, I just think that when you change a manager and you've got 13 players injured, 12 players injured, whatever it was at the time, and you've just shut a transfer window, I don't really think it matters. I know now, like everyone's a Monday morning quarterback. Now, lots of fans are saying, aren't they? Well, if we had Robbie Keane, I mean, again, a guy with no experience of managing in a top league, no experience of relegation battle, but he understands Spurs. This understands Spurs. This is not the Spurs Robbie Keane knew, right? Do you know what I mean? This is not the Spurs that Pochettino left. So I feel like as in general, as a fan base, I feel like we're clutching at straws now with things like, but first of all, I see people in the chat saying, oh, we should have got Robbie Keane. Well, first of all, Robbie Keane turned us down because why on earth would you leave a permanent job to become an interim? Then they're saying, get Pochettino now. Well, Pochettino is the manager of USA and they're about 3 months out from hosting a World Cup. Like that's not going to happen either. More worrying for me is if they were going to do this sacking reign, and I got a video, I think in the first week of January, end of December, I can't even remember, and it literally says, Rain, back him or sack him. And that was about Frank. It wasn't, oh my God, I love Frank so much you can't sack him. It was, if you are going to sack him now so the new manager can have a transfer window to bring in some loan players to support, right? The way West Ham have just gone and bought 3 forwards in one January window to change the trajectory of the club. Forest bought in Ortega in goal, right? Forest bought in Ortega to try and change something in the goalkeeping area. But we didn't do anything, Rain. We literally sat there. I think me and you might have been on a show at one point and when it might not have been you, so apologies if not. And he said, you know what will happen? We will get to the end of the window.
Yeah.
There'll be 1 or 2 games. Then they will sack him when the window is shut. And then whoever that new manager is up shit creek without a paddle, because now that new manager's come in with all the injuries, no opportunity to say, okay, let me get these 2 on loan and change the team. And here we are. And here we are. This is where we are. I don't know what this means. You have to think outside the box sometimes. I don't know what this means. Right now, what Spurs need isn't thinking outside the box. Right now, we need to go back to basics.
Yeah.
Now is not a time for experimenting. Now is a time for shutting up shop and fighting for every single point.
Experiments go boom. Experiments blow up. When you experiment, you've generally got like a very low % chance that it's actually going to work. That's why it's an experiment and not a plan. It's like so.
So this guy, you're not getting it. You're not listening to what I'm saying. I'm saying if you are going to sack a manager in February when the transfer window's shut, your option of who you can bring in goes from in the summer, you have a pool of candidates this big, Rain, versus that big in February because people are in a job. Yeah. And it's very difficult to get them out of a job in February, right? Now, also, what you've got to understand, Yid, is we aren't very good at planning. Spurs have no plan. Now, if their plan is to bring back Potts, which I've got a feeling most of us think it is, then we know that isn't going to happen until after the World Cup, right? We know he's taken USA to the World Cup. So I'm not saying again, people like this drive me insane, Rain, because as I've said before, I don't know who the right man is. I don't think any of us do, because who is the right man depends on who is the director of football. What is the plan of the club? What's the direction of the club? You know, people loved Conte. They always say to me, you didn't want Conte. Do you know why I didn't want Conte, Rain? Because I said from day one, what on earth is the point of bringing in top managers who are winners that win immediately when you are going to give them players like Jed Spence, players like Clement Long? What's the point, right? But fans can't listen. Fans don't learn. No. Listen to what is. Oh my! I can't deal with it.
Let me take over. So Yid and whoever that was, I think the point that you're missing is that me and Sav are in the same place. We've seen a lot, and where we've got a very sort of highly developed sense both of why this does and doesn't work and how it should work. Both from inside football, but also from outside football, because we've got life experience, right? That's the reality here. We're talking as like human beings, not just football. Changing a coach does not automatically change everything, and that's the point and the problem. So the way that the Spurs ownership could have changed our direction is, and I appreciate it's a time machine, is to go back into January, right, and sign better players. Sign better players. So sign some left wingers. Sign a creative midfielder. Sign a left back. Like we went for Robertson, and then we didn't, and then we stopped looking for a left back.
Yeah, because we couldn't get him. We didn't have a plan to get somebody else.
Yeah. So and he was a good option, a good short-term option, somebody who could come in and give us a 6.5 out of 10. Right? He was a decent option. Not the best option, but a decent option. So this idea that you get a coach in and all of a sudden everything changes, it doesn't work. Life doesn't work that way. It just doesn't. So when everybody's coming in here and going, well, then who should we have got? What Sav is saying, and I'm in complete agreement, is the only reason that you change head coach, manager, whatever you want to call it, is to get a bit of a mentality change. But what Spurs did was they went, we're going to get somebody who plays a completely different style of football. And the players are just like, I haven't got a clue what's going on. And guess what happens? Sav showed it. We can see the whole load of goals. Because they don't know what's going on.
But this is my point, right? It's like there are so many people that are not understanding that, look, football is not just drop a new manager in to a decimated squad full of average players and suddenly you turn into a great team. This is the point. If you were going to bring in a new manager, you sack Frank at the end of December, you bring in a manager and you go, right, we've got January. We can give you, you're an interim. Let's get in 3 loan players to help you out between now and the end of the season. Okay, you want Moussa Diaby. You want John Duran. You want fill in the blanks, right? Douglas Luiz, whoever, yada, yada, yada. But we didn't. What we did was We sat there. We said no to Lukman. We said no to Akliush, right? We said no to Diaby on loan. We said no to Duran on loan. And then our director of football comes out and says, well, none of these players are good enough or are better than the 11 that we've got now. And you go, well, if that's the case, that's why when I say we deserve it, I don't mean us fans. I'm saying the people who run the club, they kind of deserve it for their incompetence. West Ham may stay up, they may not. But you know what? At least in that window, they tried. At least in that window, their owners went out and went, right, where are we struggling? Right, we're not scoring goals. Right, let's go and get 3 forwards. And they got 3 forwards, so they've now got options. Right? What did Spurs do? Bentancur got injured for the year, so we went, okay, we'll bring in Gallagher. And I've got nothing wrong with that because I think Gallagher in the right team will be fine. And then a 19-year-old left back. The rest is history. So people just, for me, don't quite get it. And Wesley, I'm not putting up with your shit today. One more comment like this, I'm just going to get rid of you. Right? This is not about the negativity from us going into the lads. This is 3 years, mate. Right? They are not good enough. Wesley,
sorry, Wesley, did you watch the game last night? Because I wasn't at the game last night. I was in a completely different country actually. But what I heard was the fans trying to back the players. This is not, and none of this is negativity here, mate. All of this is positivity. It's positive. This is how you can positively do what needs to be done. Yes, you have to criticize what isn't working, and if you can't accept it isn't working, again, maybe football isn't for you, right?
So can I just say, like the Ringo saying, my protection, there's no protection. I like Gallagher as a player, but you can't just drop him into this shit show and think that he's going to change anything. Ringo, 90% of our fan base want Pochettino back. What did Pochettino at Chelsea? Right? He made him captain. He made him his captain and he resigned. He left Chelsea because he argued with the board because he wanted to keep Gallagher. Right? So all I'm saying is if Poch comes back in, this boy will be a big part of what Pochettino does. And you're telling me he's awful. Right? It's not about, there's no protection. I have seen Conor Gallagher.
All the players are awful.
There's another one, Sav. User JB62TQ1129. Gallagher wasn't good enough for Chelsea. Mate, look, I'm not having revisionism. The Chelsea fans are still up in arms at the fact that Chelsea sold Gallagher. They absolutely and a big reason that Poch left is he didn't want Gallagher to go. Nobody in Chelsea Football Club wanted Conor Gallagher to leave Chelsea Football Club, apart from the owners who saw academy products, therefore cost us zero, sell him for whatever, and I get all of that profit. That's the only reason they sold him.
Ryan, can I tell you something, right? And Danny, I don't know if I've told you this before, right? So my mate has worked at Chelsea for 20 years. Right, so basically, straight out of school, he went into coaching, blah, blah, and he's been at Chelsea ever since and developed all the way through. And when I spoke to him, when we were in the transfer window and we were looking at Conor Gallagher, I said, "What is the situation with Gallagher and Chelsea?" And he said, "Oh, mate," he said the players were absolutely livid at what went down. Right? He said Chelsea needed to sell because of PSR issues, and Conor Gallagher at the time was one of the homegrown players, right? That's going to get you a lot of money. He said Pochettino threw his toys out the pram because that was his captain who had helped his team go on that amazing run for the last 28 games of the season, right? And he said the real Chelsea fans you see talking about it are always like, yeah, he loved Gallagher. He gave everything for the fact, blah, blah, blah. He scored goals. He got assists. In that year, by the way, as I've always said, in that year, in his last year in the Premier League, for Chelsea, he was in the top 5 of every midfielder stat there was. Goals, assists, tackling, heading, interceptions, clearances, distance covered. Yet then when you get our fans to go, he's awful, let's be honest. Well, he's going to be awful in this awful team. Right now, Van der Ven looks awful. Right now, they all look awful. There's no one that's doing well, right? But Ringo, there is a section of Atletico fans that are like, God, we really like this lad. We really like this lad. He's the ultimate squad player. But this is Atletico Madrid. You're talking as though Spurs are Atletico Madrid, right? I am not saying Conor Gallagher is a game changer, but in the right system, with the right manager and the right setup, he's a very good Premier League footballer, right? Simeone wanted him. Pochettino wanted him. Frank wanted him. Unai Emery wanted him. So
Ange
wanted him. All of these managers want him, right? But again, Yid, I can't help it. If your level of IQ is that much that he's rubbish now. I mean, I can't deal with children.
You need to go back and watch the game yesterday, right? There's a lot of people going in on Conor Gallagher. He's being played at right wing, right? It's like
mental.
It's like taking Messi and putting him at centre back. Do you think he's still going to be decent, but he ain't going to be the Messi that you know up top, right? That's just the reality again of football. Players become very, very good at particular positions. But what I still saw, and you need to go back and have a look at it, what I still saw with Conor Gallagher was a guy who was fighting, battling, and working on the ball. Right towards the end of the game, there were 3 players around him, and he fought every single one of them and got a corner, right? That's the type of player Conor Gallagher is. Now, what we need is to get Conor Gallagher into central midfield. That's what we need. And we need a decent right winger and we need a decent left winger to play with Conor Gallagher. We don't need to go, because Conor Gallagher can't play in goal, therefore he's a crap player. That's just not the way that this works.
But by the way, can we just mention this as well, right? Right, Ringo, so you're telling me you don't understand football. A football team needs to be made up of all different profiles, right? When you're saying you don't want battlers, we are in a relegation battle, right? You've got to remember, right? What did Pochettino say 3 months ago? He said, every team needs a Conor Gallagher. Now, that's the guy that everyone praises and loves. So Poch is wrong. Simeone's wrong, right? Frank's
let me
land on this, right? Because this isn't about anyone saying that Conor Gallagher's the greatest, but in a squad, this is a very good player to have. You need to have a system. And I've just Googled that season when he was captain of Chelsea, he was playing in a 3-man midfield with Enzo Fernandez and Caicedo. And the 3 of them together, I don't know if anyone knows this, for the last 28 games of the season, they had the second best form in the country, right? And Conor Gallagher had their best stats for goals and assists from midfield, even with all those players. So when people are saying he's rubbish, it tells you who's got football IQ and who doesn't. See, again, Wesley, I'm just going to kick you because you're being an idiot. You're an idiot. You're an idiot.
I noticed that Wanyama was conspicuous by his absence in that little group of players that was brought up, right? There's a reason why they look, and the argument that Dembele wasn't a battler, I think again, you need to go back and actually watch football. Right? Well, I mean, this is the point. Wanyama, he didn't even include Wanyama in that list, but maybe there was a good reason why Dele, Ericsson. I'm gonna give you Dembele, but I think Dembele was an absolute battle. I think you could include him in the battler context, right?
And did you see the ground?
There was a reason why they could do what they wanted to do, and that's because they did have Wanyama, like doing the hard, dirty work. So your idea that in Poch's team they didn't have water carriers, sorry, mate, that's not the way that football works.
What I don't understand, and by the way, Luan, I've got a lot of respect for you, but again, this is someone who doesn't understand Tottenham Hotspur. No offense, right? When you're saying right signing, wrong time, priority should have been a winger. Luan, this is the problem when you need everything. This is the problem when you need everything in your squad. You've got to remember, Luan, again, you're telling me you don't understand my club, right? Conor Gallagher was brought in because Rodrigo Bentancur and Bergvall both got injured for the rest of the. Well, I know Bergvall might be back in April, but we lost 2 central midfielders. We couldn't continue the rest of the season with just Paulinho, Sarr, and Gray. We had to get another midfielder in. So again, this shows me that people are that they're speaking from emotion rather than from. If Spurs should have got all of these players, right? This is. I've got to make this really clear. This isn't about Conor Gallagher being, oh my God, he's amazing. But we've seen what Conor Gallagher does in the Premier League when he's in a settled team and he's allowed to be the box-to-box midfielder. At the moment, under Spurs, I've seen him play right wing back, 6, 8, 10. We really, really, really are barking up the wrong tree here. This guy has played 8 games for Tottenham Hotspur, yet the players that have been here for 3 years seem to not be the ones getting heat. The players that have put in these shit performances for 3 years seem to be not getting the heat. But Conor Gallagher, who's come in and who was wanted by Unai Emery, wanted by Poch, wanted by Simeone, apparently isn't good enough. We'll see. We'll see. When he's put in the proper team, we'll see.
I think being fair, that guy was like 50% right. Yes, right player. Wrong time. I mean, he's available. There's never a wrong time. But absolutely, in terms of priorities, our priorities as a football
but not
club,
when Bentancur and Bergvall go down injured, Rain. You've got to have players. You can't turn around and say Bentancur and Bergvall have gone down injured for the season. We don't need another midfielder. We would have left ourselves with 3 midfielders for the rest of the season. You can't have that. You've got to replace.
No, I mean, it's fair. That's why I'm saying it's 50% right. Yes, but we needed Gallagher, and yes, we also it should never have basically Luan. I think Sav, I think you're going to agree with me. It should never have been an either or. It should never have been. It should never have been an either or.
That was also the problem when it came to selling Brennan Johnson. I was all for selling Brennan Johnson because I think he's an awful footballer, right? Clearly, you can see he's an awful footballer because even the Palace fans don't like him. But my thought process was that if they sell him, you cannot be negligent and not replace him after considering that we had already got 7 injuries in January alone. So you then sell another player, right, who could offer you something, not saying he would, but he could, and not replace him when you already need another right winger because Kudus has gone down injured in that same month. So it's like there's no brain cells with anyone at this football club.
But Dan, that's why everyone for me is putting their anger at the wrong place, right? Yeah. The issue isn't that we signed Conor Gallagher. The issue is that we didn't sign the other positions we needed. Conor Gallagher was a replacement for Rodrigo Bentancur, right? That signing would not have happened without Bentancur going down injured. The big issue we should be looking at is where is the Johnson replacement? Where is the Kudus replacement? We still haven't replaced Son, and we didn't bring in goals and assists. This is not, Danny, I think Rain is correct, and Luan's not.
50%.
Rain is correct.
50%.
This is not either or.
No.
We keep doing this at this club. Oh, we should have got him instead of him. We should be doing it all.
Yeah. It
shouldn't be, oh, well, we bought Conor Gallagher for. By the way, Lukman was offered to us. We said no.
Yeah.
And Luan, do you think it's because Spurs don't have 40 million? We have 40 million. We have 40 million if we want to go and buy Andre Lukman. Ademola Lukman.
I still think.
Now I know you're trolling. Now I know you're trolling. Ringo, go away. Now this is just ridiculous. Look how much we miss Kudus. This is go away, mate. You're turning into a troll. Go away.
I still think as well, and I don't know him personally. This is a wonderingment, but I still reckon, given how much Lukman developed since he left the Premier League, how much he developed in those years, right? In those 22 to 25 years, Sorry, 22 years old to 25 years old. Those years where players develop.
Yeah.
And become really good footballers before they're in their prime between 25 and 29. I think he would have been absolutely champing at the bit to come back to the Premier League.
Oh yeah, definitely.
To prove to people what a player he is, because all of these people are like, is he really that good? Do you want to see what he's been doing at Atletico Madrid? You're about to get. I suspect we're about to get this is what you could have had from Ademola Lukman in a couple of games coming up.
Yep.
And he is going to turn it on. It's a shame because the fans deserved that player to be playing in white shirt, white shorts, not Atletico Madrid.
Do you know what's funny, Rain? What's funny, right? This is Spurs in a nutshell, right? They get offered a player who's actually could make an impact like Lukman for, what was it, 35 million pounds or euros, right? Which is nothing for a player of that level, right? Then he goes to a bigger club, right? He smashes it, and then Tottenham, say if we in a hypothetical world, right? Tottenham then go and sign that exact player a year later for like double the money. That's the sort of thing Tottenham would do, right? As in like, I'm trying to explain it.
Do we? I don't think we do. I'd love it if we did. I'm not sure we do, Danny. I'm not sure because by the time that player gets to by the time it becomes blindingly obvious that this guy is a player, right? And I'm going to come up with an example, right? By the time it becomes blindingly obvious, nobody can doubt it. Yeah, anyone who's not doing the scouting has watched a couple of games on Sky Sports and now understands. And there's a recent example in the summer. Lots of people were going on about Savio. Good player. Get him in, develop him, bring him into the first team over the next 2 or 3 years. Great, fantastic. But there was another player who was being mentioned and then got discarded because he wasn't a fancy name, and that player was Antoine Semenyo, right? Yep. And I was like, we need to get this player. I've seen him with my eyes in live. He is a beast. He absolutely monstered us a couple of times at White Hart Lane. I'm like, just like when I saw Caicedo at Brighton, I'm like, this guy's a player. You know,
it's like when I saw Mo Salah for Basel when he played against us in the Europa League and he destroyed us in 2 legs. And I'm like, who is this guy? This is who we need.
And people are like, Semenyo, no, he's rubbish. He plays for Bournemouth. And then he played against Liverpool and on the Sky Sports. And everybody's like, oh, Semenyo's amazing. Too late.
It's like our scouts.
Too late, he's gone.
It's like our scouts are like taking magic mushrooms and then they go out and watch games and they're like, oh yeah, Brennan Johnson's a good player, or like Dominic Solanke's a good player. It's like what are you doing to yourself? What are you doing to give you that kind of opinion that that's the type of player we need to bring at this football club?
Yeah, do you know what I don't understand is I think we are the kings as fans, though. Of I said this for a long time, and I know Lubo gets really annoyed when I say this. I don't think our fan base as a whole know what a good footballer looks like anymore. I genuinely don't think we understand that a team needs to be made up of all different profiles of players. Like we have fans that, I mean, there's fans in the chat right now going, oh, Lukman flopped in the Premier League. And you're like, hang on, Lukman was a kid in the Premier League. He's gone away. He's done really good things. He's ripped it up in Italy. He's ripping it up in Spain. He scored a hat-trick in a Europa League final, right? But not good enough for Tottenham Hotspur. Honestly, we have this chat every day. Look how many players our fans don't think are good enough. Then we watch what we saw last night, Danny. We watch Sosa at left back. No offense to the kid. We watch Gallagher have to play right wing. We're watching Porro playing right centre half. We're watching people like Tell and Mawani and Solanke. Yet when we're put, let's get Tony. No, not good enough for Spurs. Let's get Lukman. Nah, he's not good enough. Savio, no, not good enough. Akliouche, well, no, he's not brilliant. Like every player is not good enough for Tottenham Hotspur. Yet we watch these average players, and then you just get fans going, "Oh, I think he's good. He's good. He's good." It's like, what is wrong with us? And if we as fans think that, how can we then have a go at the owners? If these fans like these signings, and this is where I always have my debate with Lubo. He hates the owners, says they do terrible things, then backs every single signing we make. Like every signing we make, he goes, good signing, that good window, that good signing, that he's good. And then I go, but why don't you like the owners? Oh, they haven't done enough. Well, why are you praising all their signings then? Like you can't have it all ways.
Yep.
And I think, Danny, me and you are on the same page on this, I think, where
Yep.
I don't rate many of these players at all.
Nope.
That's why I hate these owners. I think all of the windows for the last 5, 6, 7 years have been absolutely ridiculous.
It's
Right?
like I said, like the one thing I have to, like I said to you before, Sav, I admit that this window, the summer window, I actually thought that it was the best window we've had in terms of the quality of player we targeted, right? But as you said, it still wasn't enough. I personally thought that it was enough, but even though we didn't get the left winger, I was still skeptical about it. I thought we'd have enough in our team to not be in this type of position. But clearly I was wrong, because look at Xavi Simons hasn't bedded in the way that we expected him to in his first season. Muani is just absolute wank. So it's like we've kind of just shot ourselves in the foot, and then we had a window to kind of make amends, and we didn't even use the opportunity to do that in January.
But Danny, the thing is with certain players that are coming over, the difference is, right, Xavi Simons is walking into a team that isn't settled.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Agreed.
Gallagher is walking into a team that isn't settled. We want these kids to walk into a team that isn't settled.
Agreed.
And our fans can't seem to grasp that. If you walk into a shit show where none of the dots are joined and the medical team is shit and the scouts are shit, the director of football is shit, and you're chopping and changing manager every 5 minutes and you don't have left wingers or ball playing midfielders, you're going to look a mess.
Agree.
You're going to look a mess. But what we done, look at these people. And again, it's not about Conor Gallagher per se, but Conor Gallagher joins us in January, joins a shit show. He has played 8 games, by the way, and only completed 290 minutes. And everyone's going, he's shit. Well,
I know.
But we've seen him for Atletico. We've seen him for Chelsea. We know that he's not shit, but he's joined a shit setup. Now, if Conor Gallagher right now went and joined Chelsea, probably a bad example because he's been there. Conor Gallagher went in and joined Arsenal in their squad, right? Or Villa and their squad. Suddenly, no one's going, he's shit. You're going, yeah, he's just settled in to a really well-run team that have an identity. Yeah. We go on, play right wing, right?
I find it funny, Savva, that the fact that he came to Spurs over Aston Villa, to be honest.
Well, I mean, he's going to listen. You got to remember his family's in London.
Yeah, right? That's the point.
He's a very much a family man. His family are in London, and he's going to get more games at Tottenham than Villa because Villa have got loads and loads of midfielders.
True.
Right? You know, and yeah, maybe he was holding bench at Atleti. I mean, first of all, tell me you're a dickhead without telling me you're a dickhead. Who holds bench? What are you, 12? You mean he was a bench player, right? He was holding bench. You do know, right? I'm gonna give some of these idiots a lesson. Are you ready? I'm gonna give some of these idiots a lesson because they don't understand how football works, right?
Well,
sorry, I just.
What are you going to look for that?
Hang on, no, I've got it. Hang on. No, I've got it. I've got it, right? I've got it.
All right.
These are the list of midfielders that Atletico Madrid have for their squad.
I saw this list.
Right? They have Barrios. They have Cardoso. They have Koke. Right? They have Serrano. Right? They have Vargas. Right? Mendoza. Right? Conor Gallagher's not going to just suddenly go, right, I am
You've
the
missed
only
out loads
one.
of them, Sav. There's loads more.
Huh?
There's loads more.
And I'm just going by. Like, they've got Alex Buena, right? They've got Alex Buena. Griezmann drops into the midfield.
Koke still there?
Yeah, I mentioned him. Thiago Almada is there as well. Like Giuliano Simeone. They have got loads of good players. I don't expect that Conor Gallagher's going to be the number one midfielder at Atletico Madrid. But isn't this the equivalent of when we go to sign players from Man City, for example, and people go, I don't want their bench players. Why not? We're Tottenham. What do you mean you don't want? It's honestly,
my translation of what you wrote, mate, was Conor Gallagher was trusted by Simeone to come off the bench and finish games for him. That's what it. Conor Gallagher pretty much played every game, and yeah, he didn't start them all. But you know what? Simeone was bringing him on for 15, 20 minutes. Why was he doing that? Because Conor Gallagher came on, delivered solid results for him, and finished games for him. It's not that Conor Gallagher was, put out to the under-21s and told, I don't want you anymore. He very, very much was part of their squad. Yeah, it's not just 11 players. Squad game.
Rain, you got to remember.
Rain, he played 77 times in 18 months for Atletico Madrid.
Savva and Rain,
77 times. But apparently Simeone didn't like him, but kept playing him.
You're missing the point. You're both missing the point. You've got to remember that as Spurs fans don't know what a squad is. So they just think, oh, we only need to improve the first 11. They forget that, we have a squad and we have multiple competitions we need to play in. So we have to actually improve the squad, not just the players who are playing on the pitch. Because when you have those players on the pitch and then you bring on crap from the bench, what do you expect to happen?
You know what? I almost want Poch to come back and make this kid captain just to spite these people who don't get it. It's not that Gallagher's the greatest midfielder in the world, but I'm guessing most managers in world football would not say no to Conor Gallagher as part of their squad. Right? That's the point. And for years, Danny, you are bang on the money, Danny K. For years, our fans talk about 11. That's all we talk about. The first 11. What I want in a perfect reality, let's just say next season, you want, all right, there's Graham Bergvall as your two young central midfielders. Right, there's Gallagher and Paulinho, right? Now there's, just for example, now there's Wharton and another ball-playing midfielder. So you've got two box-to-box, two DMs, two ball-playing midfielders, right? But our fans don't get it, right? No. So you don't get it. When you're saying he shouldn't be starting games, what midfielders have we got that you are thinking are better than Conor Gallagher? Papa Sarr?
Oh yeah, Spurs fans love Papa Sarr.
Like what are we doing here? Maybe, just maybe, if I'm telling you, you wait and see if Poch takes this club. You wait and see what he does with Conor Gallagher when he takes this club. You are judging him off of, he's played 290 minutes for Spurs, by the way, guys. And he's being shoved out onto the right wing because again, we did not buy what we needed. So he's taking one for the team, like Archie Gray does, to be fair, pushed out into different positions because we didn't buy what we needed. People again, he's shit. Name me a player that's playing well for Tottenham this last 11 games we've not won.
Vicario.
Name me a player that's played well for Tottenham this last 11 games we've not won. Seriously. There isn't one, right? There isn't one. Romero wasn't playing well. Van der Ven's not. Porro's not played well. Vicario's not. Sarr, Paulinho's been in and out.
Sarr.
Solanke, Mawani.
I want Sarr sold.
But these fans, people like Ringo, think that you can drop Conor Gallagher into a team where everyone's shit with no formation and we go on, why aren't you amazing? What? But Ringo, I can't do it with that. He's an idiot. It's not about telling you he looks better than Sarr. When Sarr is playing for Spurs right now, he's being put in centre mid and he still looks shit. Conor Gallagher's being shoveled out to right wing back and right wing. Well, I don't know why you're not. It's pointless.
Sarr's lost his shooting boots. He used to be able to hit the target.
Lost them?
He used to be able to hit the target. He scored a couple goals. I'm not saying it was Frank Lampard, but it used to be able to hit the target, right? And that's completely gone. But yeah, if you put Sarr out of right wing, you're getting less of a performance than you're currently getting out of Conor Gallagher at right wing. That's the reality. That's the reality of the square peg round hole problem. Is if you've got a really good square peg, it doesn't then become a good round peg when you move it over there. If that makes sense. So you want Conor Gallagher over Sarr in the centre midfield. Does that mean that Sarr isn't a squaddy? I'm not sure. He has not developed into the player who, again, we bought a young player and tried to develop him in our first team, and he hasn't developed into that superstar player that people were thinking he might do. Yeah,
Rain, I'm going to guarantee you something. I'll guarantee this right now. If Spurs stay up, I guarantee whichever manager comes in and takes over Tottenham will make Conor Gallagher part of his first team. I guarantee it.
Yeah.
They will incorporate him into that midfield as the box-to-box player that gets back, gets forward, scores goals, makes tackles. And they will have a proper playmaker in front of him, and they'll have a proper ball-playing midfielder behind him, the way that Chelsea did with Enzo Fernandez and Caicedo, right? This is what fans like Ringo, who aren't very bright up there, don't get it, right? They don't get it, right? Because what I saw last night in the second half, very few players fight for the cause. I thought, forget his ability, Tell at least fights for the cause, right?
Yeah.
Gray fights for the cause. In that second half, Conor Gallagher was everywhere. He was fighting for the cause. Now, are they able to do a lot on the ball? No, because there's no system. There's no style of play. But you want those players, right? But Rob, I agree. If he comes back, I bet you he makes Gallagher captain if Romero leaves. Listen,
100%.
Rob, these fans will only... Philly always says it. Those who don't see must feel, right? There's a reason Unai Emery wanted him. There's a reason Diego Simeone, of all the players in the world he could pick, wanted Conor Gallagher, because this guy is the ultimate professional, right? This guy will do he's asked to play on the right wing. He goes and plays on the right wing. You need
someone like him in your squad.
So look, we'll draw a line under the Conor Gallagher thing, but of all the issues at Tottenham Hotspur, it's mad that someone that's only put on the shirt 8 times is the one getting the stick. It's truly crazy. Danny's right. Rain is right. They both said it in a roundabout way. If Spurs actually had a proper left winger and a proper right winger right now, this solves half the problem, because we're now no longer going, do we play wing backs? Where does this player play? Because then you can say, for example, let's say Kudus was fit and we'd signed Lukman, right? You'd have Kudus right, Lukman left, one of the forwards up front. That's sorted. Then you can go, right, let's get a stable midfield free. Right? Paulinho, Gallagher, Simmons. There you go. Boom. Paulinho as your DM. Gallagher as your box-to-box. Simmons in the 10. Lukman on the left. Kudus right and a striker. Now you've got a formation. Now you've got square pegs in square holes.
Yep.
Right? Now you've got rhythm. Our fans don't seem to get this. They seem to think you can drop any player in and suddenly they're going to look good in a shit show. It's true, isn't it? You look at Van der Ven. Van der Ven's level. Look how much it's dropped in the last 2 months as the Spurs form has dropped. By the way, I'm not saying he's special, but he had a brilliant first half of the season for me. Van der Ven, I thought he'd really matured. As Spurs have gone on this 11-game run of not winning, he's now sinking to that level, looking out of position, out of shape, losing his mind, head's gone.
He looks like a petulant little child on the playground who's not getting what is wanted, and he's just not even bothering to put the effort in. For me, after last night, I'm going to be honest, I'd sell Van der Ven as well.
Okay, I'm not there. I'm nowhere near
done.
there.
Right. Do you know what it is, Rain? I'll tell you why. I am done with these fucking Tottenham players who don't give a shit about the crest that's on their shirt. I am done with them. I don't care if any of them get sold. I really don't care anymore.
Please let
Genuinely.
me come back on this. Please let me come back on
Go
this.
on.
Okay, right. Look, I get it. I get that people are upset with Van der Ven getting sent off yesterday. But hear me out, right? And I get the petulant thing. I get, and there absolutely is something there. He definitely, you can see it from all his interviews, like Sky Sports and all that kind of stuff. He's definitely got a big head, right? And I think it's blown up by his family and stuff, and maybe for good reason. But what I saw, and I went back and I watched the game, having known the result this morning, and what I saw is a guy who is desperate to deliver results. What I saw was a guy who got isolated, because we got isolated because we're all over the place. And he was desperately trying to stop that goal from going in. Did he make a mistake? 100%. Should he have made the mistake? 100% no. But I don't think that means you throw the baby out with the bathwater and go, this guy who actually we know is a good player when he's got good players around him in a stable, rational system that lets him do what he needs to do. We know that this guy is a good player. You don't go, we're going to sell him because everything's a mess. And because everything's a mess, he now looks like a mess. So I think this is, I'm sorry, Danny, I know, I get it. I get the passion, I get the emotion, and I see a lot of other people with it. But I think it is baby bathwater.
It's not even the emotion, Rain. I am just sick and tired of these footballers who do not give a shit about this football club. Because to me, what I've seen for a couple of weeks now, I mean, I've seen it for longer, but especially since Tudor's come in, these players do not care about this football club. And I'm sick and tired of these overpaid wankers, right, who are so privileged to be in the positions they're in, not putting in any effort and crying like little babies. I'm sorry, they are little babies, right? Because these should be professional footballers who should be fighting and giving everything possible to try and get us out this fucking mess that those players have put us in. But they're not, and I'm sick of it.
Danny, I'll get Sten afterwards. Welcome, Stel. He always looks like a commentator, doesn't he, with that thing? I like it. He looks like a commentator.
He looks like he's suffering. It looks like he's suffering. It looks way too Stel.
It's the Gary Neville podcast.
It's either that or it looks like he's sitting on a sunny balcony and he's just fanning himself down. Listen, Danny, I'll sit in the middle of this between you two and then I'll see what Stel thinks. For me, look, there's a lot of traits to Van der Ven that I like as a player. There's a lot of traits I don't like about him with his attitude. But the difficulty with this scenario, again, like what I was just saying with a Conor Gallagher, we know the talent that Mickey Van der Ven has got. Yeah. And what would happen if we actually get a manager and a system and a formation and the right players where you can go, right, let's forget what happened last season. We go again, but with the right pegs in the right holes. Do you then I don't know the answer to this, Danny. Do you then see a different Van der Ven? However, the worry for me is, as the assistant captain of this football club, again, ignoring managers. Right?
Yeah, I'm done with him. I'm done with him.
That for me, there's no excuse. It doesn't matter. Oh, they don't respect the man. That's ridiculous.
I don't care. You're playing for Tottenham. You're not playing for yourself or for the manager. You're playing for Tottenham. That's who they're paid by.
But
and us fans are the ones paying their wages.
I get it. But let's assume let's just say, for example, again, and to show that it wasn't just back in Gallagher, I'll say the same thing. Imagine Pochettino comes in the summer, just for example, Poch, right? I don't know. And Pochettino gets a ball-playing midfielder like he had with Moussa Dembele, gets a proper left winger, brings in a proper striker, whatever, and then suddenly goes, right, my two centre-halves are going to be Vuskovic and Van der Ven, settled.
Yeah, I'd love that, to be honest.
Right, Conor Gallagher's going to be my box-to-box. I'm going to bring in a ball-playing midfielder to complement that. I've got a proper left winger. Suddenly you go, We now look different. Van der Ven's attitude is different. Gallagher looks different, right? Porro looks this is the problem. We've got no settled methodology, plan, structure in place. And what happens is every game, notice, a different player seems to be the victim every week. So this week, yesterday's Van der Ven. A couple of weeks before is Romero. Last week it was Mwani and Solanke because they were absolutely dreadful up. They can't all be terrible. Whilst I don't rate the squad as a whole, there are 3 or 4 there I think most managers in the Premier League would pick up and go, yeah, I could do something with them. Stel, where are you at with this whole Mickey Van der Ven thing and being the villain of the piece at the moment?
Yeah, I agree with Ryan. I think it's a consequence of a club that's collapsed, and he's now part of the melee. For me,
no. You haven't listened to what I said. You've not listened to what I said. You've not listened to what I said.
I thought you were talking to me. I'm like, what did I say?
No, sorry.
Like,
when he said, I thought these things would happen.
I thought you were talking to Stel.
Stel, when he's saying, I thought these things would happen with Frank, my point is that whoever the manager is that comes in needs to be given the right pegs for the right holes so we can build. It didn't happen with Frank. It didn't happen with Ange. The next manager needs to be given the right pegs to make it happen.
Look, I think if you look at that European Cup final, Mickey Van der Ven was excellent. Romero had a very good game too. And what it says to me is when our players are highly motivated, they're a lot better than what we're seeing. The issue we've got is it's a demotivated group of players. And the reason they're demotivated is partly down to managers, partly down to style of play, partly down to recruitment, and partly down to the clubs constantly in a negative light in the media. We're a very negative, toxic club to be a part of. And I think players are subjected to this. And psychologically, they're not in that clear headspace that you need to be for success to breed. And Van der Ven he's declining. Not because he's crap, because the club's declining. Could Van der Ven make some better decisions once in a while? Of course he can. He's not perfect. But if Van der Ven went to Liverpool, Real Madrid, Arsenal, Man United, even many other clubs, I bet you wouldn't be seeing what you're seeing at Tottenham with him. And I just feel that, and I said it last night on your show, we go after Basuma, we're bored of that. Right, let's attack Porro. Right, we're bored of that. Let's go after Richarlison, bored of that. Let's go after Archie Gray, bored of that. Let's go after Romero. Let's go after Van der Ven. They're not all dog shit. Like, the one thing I do agree with Danny is that you're paid by the club and you've got to do a job. But the issue is, Danny, you go to work, I go to work, we get paid. But when we're not motivated in our jobs, we don't actually do a very good job. We just do enough to get by each day. And this is what's happening at Tottenham, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, I agree. No, I was just going to say, I agree. Look, everyone knows my feelings. I don't think the squad is good enough. I think it's a mess and been poorly put together. But Stell is right. Every week we seem to have a different villain of the piece, right? And he's right. Van der Ven, can he make better decisions? Do we get frustrated with him? One thing I do agree with you, Stell, is I think in the second half of this season, as we've gone on, noticeably, Van der Ven's kind of dropped to the level of what the mean is. I always get this wrong, but the mean of the players is now dropping and dropping and dropping. So if you look at the Pochettino team, you had 11 very good players. So their mean is all up here, right? So they're all very good. If one has a bad game, the rest of them are very good. It doesn't matter. Man City, for the most part, in the last 5, 6, 7, 8 years, Man City can have, Bernardo Silva can have an off day. Do you know what I mean? De Bruyne could have an off day. It doesn't matter. At Spurs, we don't have enough quality that players can have an off day. And unfortunately, what we're seeing is the average of this football club now has gone from a team that competed for top 4 to we are a bottom half football club.
But also, Sav, there's no fight for each other. It's just everyone's for themselves at the moment, and it's been like that for a while. And this is also
built like that, Danny. Danny, it's been built like that. Like if you keep changing manager every 5 minutes,
that's
with
true.
attacking, defending. If you keep bringing loads of kids, if you keep bringing in players that down tools, and you know they do. How do you expect there to be that togetherness and that camaraderie?
Yep.
And the reality is that plucky enthusiasm and fight, as people put it, that only gets you so far. You really. A lot of people are like, oh, you know, they need to fight for they need to. But in your day job, you're not constantly fighting. You're not constantly getting stressed out.
Still is.
People perform their best when they can just, you know, when they can play, when they can do on a level, they can deliver what they want to do. They can just get on with it. If you just stress people out constantly, what you get are very stressed people who make lots of mistakes. Hello? What's going on? We've got lots of very, very stressed players and we're getting lots of mistakes. That's what happens. So we need to stop saying that they need to fight. Players, we need to understand the position that these players are in.
But don't you also think these players are like us? So, you know, when we sit here in transfer windows and go, sorry, you've done nothing in January. Do we not think that those players are sitting there going, hang on, we've got half our teammates here are injured and you've not brought in anything to help this situation? Surely a bit of their demotivation starts creeping in, right?
I don't need to think it. I don't need to think it. I just need to go and have a look at what Romero wrote on his social media.
Sure.
Because he is absolutely saying that. He is telling us, we think the same as you fans do. We clearly needed, this club needed something. Whatever you think of Romero, whether he wants to go to a different club or whatever, he absolutely he does not want to get relegated, right? Personally, forget Tottenham Hotspur Football Club. Christian Romero wants his legacy to be World Cup winner, not Christian Romero got relegated with Tottenham Hotspur.
Good point.
Right? Yeah, so when he came out on social media and people were like, and said what he said, and people were like, oh, he's selfish. No. Well, yeah, because he's a human being. But also he's saying what we were saying, which is, why did you guys not pull your finger out and get us some players? Because we need them.
The captain that got Spurs relegated.
You know what I mean?
The other
World
thing as
Cup
well,
winner.
if you look at people in their jobs, right, none of our players really are trained for relegation. They're not hardened for a relegation battle. Whereas the teams we're up against, they've got plenty of experience of it. And I think our players, they're in shock. They're in shock that it's not about style of play. It's not about performance. It's not about togetherness. It's you got to win. You just got to win. Like, even if you cheat, you got to win. This is a relegation battle. And our players have got no training for this. Maybe one or two. I think Odebert's been relegated and Solanke went down with Bournemouth for Maddison, who doesn't play for us anymore because he's injured. But the rest, who's actually relegation battle ready?
You're right. You think about it. Pedro Porro comes from Sporting, who are never, ever in a relegation battle. Right? Romero's never been in a relegation battle. Neither has Mickey van der Ven. Right? Destiny Udogi's never been in a relegation battle. Neither is Gallagher. Neither is Paulinho. Neither is Papa Sarr. Gray and Bergvall are kids, so they definitely have never been in a relegation battle.
Maybe Richie.
Matisse Tell's been at Bayern Munich, who don't even know what the word relegation means because it doesn't matter. Richie, you're right. Richie is the one who was on the bench last night. Do you know what I mean? Like, still, I think you're bang on this front. Is, as I said earlier in the show, when I look at Leeds, West Ham, and Forest, you see that togetherness, you see that fight. Now, I'm not saying one of them won't go down over us, but they're at least fighting. They're in the games. They're fighting. They're battling. They're giving everything. Spurs now, it seems like every half time we're out the game. By half time, it's like, oh, well, that's another defeat. We're out the game.
Yeah.
Do you know, it's I don't know. I'm just, are we, guys, let me ask you this question, right? Let me show you a few things that I thought were quite funny, right? So first of all, we saw this, that at the Tottenham Stadium since January 2025. So this is 15 months. Glasner's won 2, Frank's won 2, and Postecoglou's won 2, which is an embarrassing statistic, right? You've got Igor Tudor talking about the boat. It kind of gives me Eric Cantona vibes. Remember when he was talking about the trawlers and the seagulls and the sardines or whatever he was talking about? This guy's talking about boats, which is good. You got Change for Tottenham, who I don't know what this says because it's so small, by the way, but they've written another letter last night, which is great. You've got...
Go back to that.
I can read it out if everyone wants, right?
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, hang on. I need to bring it up on my phone first because that is bloody tiny. Right.
What have they said they're going to do?
Here you go. I'll read it out still. This is what that message says. Right. It says, Tottenham are now staring at relegation. For years, many Tottenham supporters warned that the direction of this club under ENIC was leading us here. We were mocked. We were dismissed. We were told ENIC have a plan and that criticism meant we were negative or entitled. Now Tottenham Hotspur are staring at a relegation fight. Those warnings were not negativity. They were reality. To the silent majority inside the stadium, the fans who have stayed passive while standards have fallen, this is the moment to decide what side of history you want to be on. While some supporters tried to raise the alarm, far too many stayed silent in the stadium. No pressure, no accountability. Just acceptance while standards at this club continue to fall. ENIC have thrived on that silence. To those who criticise change for Tottenham and other fans who had tried to raise the alarm, understand this. Those supporters were not the problem. They were trying to prevent exactly what we are now witnessing. This is not the time for change for Tottenham or the wider fan base to stay passive. The upcoming Forest and Brighton protests must send a clear message that the supporters of this club will no longer accept decline, excuses and broken promises. If you care about Tottenham Hotspur, now is the time to stand up, make your voice heard, because silence is exactly how we got here. This club was built by its supporters, and it will only be saved when those supporters finally refuse to stay silent. Now, can I tell you my biggest issue with that statement?
Go on.
Right? I don't make anything they said they're wrong. Let me just put that out there. But the message can't be changed for Tottenham. It needs to be ENIC out.
100%.
Agree.
100.
We get change every year. Different directors, different managers, different players, different medical. We get that change. It's got to be ENIC out at this stage. So if they want to put a protest together, when's Forest? 2 weeks' time? Right? I will promote it on my channel. Stel will promote it. Everyone can promote it. But it's got to be ENIC out. It can't be change. What is change for Tottenham at this stage? Sorry, Billy. I like Billy T. But what does that mean? It needs to be ENIC out. It needs to be someone there on the day with a megaphone. It needs to be someone there giving directions as to this is what we're going to do. If not, what's the point? Stel, I know you're passionate about this subject, so.
No, do you know what I was about to say? Everything in that letter is bang on the money.
Yeah.
But you're right. Let's not sugarcoat it just to try and make those that are in that kind of, what do you call it, the middle ground, join the political movement that's called Change for Tottenham because they don't like the words ENIC out. No, you got to say it as it is. We want the owners gone. We want them to not be in charge of Tottenham anymore. You know, when people say, oh, what does that even mean, Levy out? What do you mean Levy out? Well, what do you think it means? The opposite of Levy in. What do you think? You know, they try and muddy the waters. They try and complicate it because they don't want to go there. Well, everything that Change for Tottenham have said in that letter, I 100% back. However, people that protest need to know why they're protesting. And there can only be one message. Get the owners out. That has to be the message. I want a change of manager. I want a change of Lange. I want Vinay to step down. Sod all that. The owners have to go. Everything you said, Savva, right back. All of it.
Look, as I said, that was what Change for Tottenham put last night. And again, this is the difficult thing. I don't disagree with them.
Agreed.
The message has got to be clear. right?
I think, Savva, I've got to be honest with you, right? I think that change for Tottenham when they brought it out, and I like Billy as well a lot, but that change for Tottenham, it was there, and it was, in my opinion, it was called change for Tottenham for marketing purposes, because I think too many people at that time didn't want to back Levy or ENIC out movement, right? Which is why they said it as change for Tottenham, because it might entice more people to get on board. But right
what's
now,
it mean, Danny?
I know,
what does it actually mean?
But Savva, it's always
everywhere.
meant Levy and ENIC out. That's what it's always meant. But they've just used that, for me, in my opinion, they've used that as the barometer of this is what we want. We want ENIC and Levy out, but we're going to call it change for Tottenham because it doesn't sound as forceful, as horrible maybe to some fans as ENIC and Levy out. But the truth is, that is what it is, and it needs to be marketed as ENIC out, because
do you know the problem now,
that's what
Danny?
we want.
And look, on two sides of the fence, right? ENIC out is absolutely the one, right? Who's eating right next to their microphone? Is that you, Danny K?
I'm just putting something in a bowl. Sorry, go on.
Oh, I thought so. It's really loud.
I'll mute it.
We can do the ENIC out thing now. We can do it, and they should do it. But those people need to realize that that's not going to change the direction of this football club for this season. There's nothing that can be done now. You can go and hire a new manager. I mean, what we're going to do? Bring in a new manager, and his first 3 games are going to be Atletico, Liverpool, and Atletico. Like it needs to be ENIC out. But guys, Stel, when I saw you at the protest the other week, right? I think what confused me was I was sitting there waiting for we're standing outside the corner pin, right? And there was 150, 200 people there. And I'm waiting for somebody to talk to the protesters, to direct the protesters, to start a chant, and nothing happened. Nothing. We're all standing there, and I'm like, Rain, you were there as well. I think we're all standing there like.
Yeah, we met in person. I was actually having a good chat with Stel. I don't think he remembers. I was actually having.
I remember.
Yeah.
But do you know what I mean? Like I was waiting for. Right, as this started, is anyone with a megaphone gonna like ENIC out to get everyone, hundreds of voices going, and everyone kind of stood there, and I'm like, there's got to be.
Savage, you know what happened? What happened was, what happened was, because the numbers were so disappointing, there was nothing to organise. Whereas when we had the one last year with 2,000 fans, there were people getting the chants going. There was a massive banner that was pulled out, and we walked with the banner. The scarves were handed out because the numbers were significant. I think the disappointment of so few fans turning up, everyone knew this hasn't worked. It's like this hasn't worked. What are we going to chant for? We look like idiots. There's 90 of us standing outside a pub. For all everyone else knew, we could be just a group of away fans on a jolly, right?
Right.
And that was a tragedy of it. The issue you're going to have is, unless you get massive numbers to these events, it's very hard to get the kind of attention needed. I'm not sure if people are going to turn up to the Nottingham Forest protest, because there's going to be a lot of fans that are still going to say, just get behind the team. The majority of fans will still have that mentality, get behind the team, even though they all walked out the stadium at half-time against Crystal Palace. They're going to tell you, but this time you got to get behind the team. If we can't get a massive protest for this one, forget it. Forget the whole.
See, I'll happily go. Still, I'll go to that protest. But I need to know that. This is kind of rock and hard place. I need to know that, are people going to go, and is it going to be organised? It's okay them sending this message to Tottenham, the open letter. If I'm not wrong, they organised a 75th minute walkout against Man City, and if I'm not wrong, I'm being told that members of Change Tottenham didn't even turn up. So it's kind of like, I get what you're doing, guys. I'm not knocking you. Fair play to it, but surely
Billy and Lyndon turned up. I think that was it.
Do you know what as well, though? I'll say this. What there should be on their X pages, etc., should be no moaning about Tudor, no moaning about the players. Between now and Nottingham Forest, every single thing they post should be about the protest. What time, where, how many people want to get there, what the plan is. That's what it should be. The big issue. But I think you're right still. I don't think you're going to get enough people. I'll go, but I don't think you're going to get enough people.
So I don't want to go in on Change for Tottenham. I have personal experience. I've been to every single Change for Tottenham protest.
I'm not going in on them, Wayne.
I think, yeah, I know. And I think, absolutely, I'm not criticising you in any way, shape or form, and I don't disagree with anything that's been said. And I think all four of us on this panel have done what I've done, which is have gone to a protest, been one of 20 people who bothered to turn up, or 50 people who bothered to turn up, have voiced opinions that I've spoken to so many people, right? And I've yet to meet a person who doesn't share these owners are crap mentality, right? That you talk to people and they're like, yeah, they might say, oh, Levy's a good businessman, because they don't really understand. And they've been told that repetitively, so it must be true. But they're all like, yeah, these owners are rubbish. But yet we go to these protests, 4 people on the panel, various other people, 20 of us, 50, whatever. And all these people who will quite happily sit in a pub or go in a chat room and say, yeah, these owners are rubbish. They walk past, they do the rubbernecking, I'm going past an accident on a motorway thing, and they look and they carry on walking. And that is what it is. I don't want to go in on fans. I own my own, what I deliver. And what I deliver is I've been to every Change for Tottenham protest. It's easy I'm a full-time single working dad. It's easy for me to go to Change for Tottenham protests because they're at the ground. They're where I go. I just have to turn up to the ground half an hour before and be there and voice, and be present. Why other fans don't give that half an hour is up to them. It's a shame that they don't.
But the key thing is, and by the way, let me just set this straight. So Anthony Clark, big up to you, my man. I hope you're well. When you say that he's Arsenal, so I don't understand you lot. You say your owners don't care, but you spend more money than most clubs in the league. Mate, and this is a perfect example of just spending money doesn't make something right. We've spent a lot of money, but with no plan, no structure, and we've always gone with volume, with quantity over quality. When you're saying you don't understand our lot, look at your club, look at our club. Tell me the difference in your squad and our squad, and we spent roughly the same in the last 5-6 years. So I think you've spent like 100 million more. So
and now ask him to compare the wages.
Well, it's everything, isn't it? It's the quality of player, it's wages. Look, Arsenal haven't gone and bought loads and loads of young 19-year-olds, put them in the squad, and their fans going, oh, just give them a few years. Arsenal, I'll call it out. Arsenal don't have loads of fans like Lubo, just wanting to see Grays and Bergvales play every week.
Yep.
Right? Arsenal fans last year were going, Waneri and Skelly, we need better. Good young players, by the way. We need better. What do? They've gone out and bought better. Skelly don't get near the team. Waneri's gone out on loan.
And both those players would get into our squad as well, just in our first team, just to add that in.
Of course, but that's the difference, right? And I'm sitting up here every show, and people are going, "Oh, but I like Tell, but I like Odeberg, but I like Gray, but I like." Sure, they're okay, but they should be nowhere near a Tottenham 11. And Anthony, that's the difference. We've bought that. You guys buy Declan Rice and Zubamendi.
Mate, tell Anthony straight, okay? We're pussyfooting around, treading on eggshells. Matthias Tell came to Tottenham. He was absolutely dog shit for 6 months. And we said, you know what? Let's sign him.
Yeah.
That's the problem. We even had a taster. We had a taster of how shit he was. He came here, did nothing, and we said, you know what? There's 40 million. We'll have some of that.
Yeah.
That's the problem. Say it as it is. How on earth did we sign Tell? What evidence did we look at and say, yeah, this will take us to the next level? Fucking mad.
Mate, it's mad. Look, as I said,
same people who re-signed Werner, still same people who went, we've seen how good you are, we're going to give you another year and another 180 grand a week for a year.
Yeah, it's utterly madness. You've got to remember as well, with our scouting, we decided that we were going to scout Blackburn Rovers for however long we scouted Blackburn Rovers, and we didn't decide that Adam Wharton was the player we needed. We decided Ashley Phillips was the player we needed. And this is the levels of incompetence because they were in the same team. As a scout, I'd like to think you could turn up with the idea of, I'm going to look at Ashley Phillips, right? I get that. I get how that works. But surely during the game, you'd come back to Spurs and go, I'll tell you what, guys. Tell you what, we can get Ashley Phillips for 3 million, but there's a kid in midfield. That's the one you want. Nope, not Spurs. Not Spurs.
Yeah, but our fans are lunatics, you know, bless him. You know, he's not a horrible person. He's actually a nice person when you speak to him, but he's a lunatic. You got Sonny Talk Spurs 2 weeks ago doing videos on YouTube saying, this is how Tudor fixes Spurs. This is how Tudor saves Spurs. He's put out 2 analytical YouTube videos. Yeah. 2 weeks later, he's now doing a video, get Dyche in, we've got to get Tudor out. So, hold on a minute. Hold on. What happened to those analytical videos with all those squares and circles and the arrows of where the players are going to move on the it's nuts, man. It's fucking mad. Yeah, it's ridiculous.
This is a club.
Yeah, it's just ridiculous. Guys,
this is a fan.
I'm not going to go forever. I'm going to go for another 5 minutes, and then I'm going to send everyone over to Jim and Kate. I'll do some super chats. But look, at the end of the day, Anthony, I get it, mate. If people purely look at the money spent, right? Spurs have spent a massive amount of money. But I think this kind of sums it up. This is a really interesting super chat, by the way, right? I really like this. I'm going to go over super chat. This is very, very accurate, right? He said, hi, Savva panel. Your club is the footballing BlackBerry. Now, I actually watched a film on BlackBerry the other day as to what happened. It said, lost its way due to a bad strategy. Absolutely. We lost our way a long time ago with no strategy. He said, protests alone don't work. Not buying merchandise tickets hits them the most. That applies to any company. Yep. Now, here's the thing I will always say, because I'm going to stick up for Stell here. And I love it as much as the next person to have a dig at Stell. But I'm going to stick up for Stell. A lot of the time, Stell, I always hear, oh, Stell, you say this, but you have a season ticket. You still go to games. What you've got to remember, we got 13, you only have 2, is even if Stell doesn't go, someone else is buying that ticket. If I don't go, someone's buying that ticket, right? Mm-hmm. If you can convince the whole 62,000 to not go, what you're saying absolutely works. Yep. But you can't convince, because people want to go and watch their football club play. So people will always go to the stadium. They're always going to pay. And you know why? People don't want to lose their season ticket, because if it gets better next season, if suddenly Spurs spend 500 million and get Poch in and everything's amazing, people will go, oh, shit, I'm now 30,000 on the season ticket. So it's not as simple as just saying, you know, you can't buy tickets, and it's very difficult to do that. But big up to you for the super chat. Big up to...
That's why we need relegation.
Well, this is where I do disagree with Stell. This is all going on him. This is why you going on him. Mike, big up to you, my man. He said, put this towards a mic for Stell.
£2. £2. £2.
I'm not sure what microphone you think.
£5, £2, £2.
£2, £5,
I'll buy you lead, shall I?
Big up, Mike. Thank you very much. Don Dada has become a new member. By the way, guys, any members, 3 p.m. today, I do have a members show for an hour, 3 p.m. And anyone asking, yes, members are allowed to come on and have their say. And no, it doesn't go out to the internet. So you can do it in anonymity. I never say that word right. Big up to you. Big up to Ian JD. Said, can't wait for the Lang, Vinay and Enoch joint club statement when we get relegated. Enjoy the new financial world. Do you know what? I think this will be hilarious to see what they actually say when we go down. I think it's going to be hilarious. Big up to you, Ian. Big up to Mark, channel member as well. Says, my son, a decent 16-year-old, 6'1", going into men's football, going to struggle. Why do fans think it's any different in the Premier League? Well, this is the thing, Mark. When people are asking for 17-year-old twigs to go into our midfield and battle against people like Sander Berg and Declan Rice, I don't think they're quite understanding. They've got to be nurtured in the right way. I think there needs to be a pathway, and that can't really happen when you're shit. It needs to be a pathway when you're playing well. That's only my opinion.
Sam? Our fan base would have seen Steven Gerrard at 19 years old, who had talent, but he was a stick.
Yeah.
Right? And he was developed by Liverpool, and they would have seen him and they would have gone, this guy's crap, he can't play. They would not have given him the time outside of our first team to develop and become the fantastic player that he did, 22, 23, 24, and so on and so forth. Mark, you're absolutely right, mate.
Yeah. Big up to Philly, who's become a new member. Big up to you, my man. Thank you very much for your support. As I said, you're now welcome on the members only show, which is set for 3 p.m. and I'll put it into my community page. If you're a member, you will have access. If you're not, you can't. Simple as that. Big up to Daniel Noble. Very generous. So since December, I thought we might go down. Last night, I realised we are going down. I've accepted it. This squad is atrocious and there's no fight. Mate, I'm at that stage now where I can't see where a point is coming from. I can't every game just go back your I don't know where a point is coming from. We are
fans.
Yep. Awful.
The fans have lost fight, Savva. They walked out at half time. The fans don't have the fight either anymore. You know,
I agree.
You know, these are the same fans. These are the same fans that call us negative, right? These are the same fans that call us negative and say, "Oh, for fuck's sakes, just get behind your team." Well, you're the ones who walked out the stadium, so you can't have it both ways. You can't say to us everything we say is negative, but then you go to the games and walk out at half time. You know,
agreed.
There's got to be some balance somewhere.
And let's round this
Spurs fans balance.
Let's round this off with big up Jordan. Last super chat, and then I am gonna go. By the way, Dominic Solanke has just said this. We've had a chat. Oh, here we go. I love this.
No.
He said, Dominic Solanke, players need to take responsibility. Hang on, I'll come back to this in 1 second, Jordan. He said, we've had a chat between us and we need to understand we need to improve. And improve now. It is difficult and hard to say with just words. We need to show it on the pitch, but it's something we need to do as soon as possible. Us players on the pitch need to take responsibility and ultimately change as soon as possible. It's just more empty words now, isn't it?
Yeah,
every game without getting into it's noise.
Liverpool 5, Tottenham 1.
No. Still, get it right. Liverpool 7, Tottenham 0.
There you go. Spurs haven't gone this many games without a league win since 1935.
That's really alarming, you know.
I just can't do it.
Yeah, it is.
Jordan, big up to you, said the club isn't sinking, it's already sunk. The players are playing like we are comfortably in mid-table with nothing to play for. The fact Vicario, Romero, and Van der Ven are part of our leadership group is why we are where we are.
Yep.
Look, I agree. I think the whole thing we know, right? I think most fans now, their faces after the game last night wasn't even one of anger. It almost looked like one of acceptance that this is, it almost looked like when I watched Sheffield Wednesday fans the other week when they were relegated from the Championship by February, it looked like that. It genuinely looked like acceptance, Jordan, that these players are getting us relegated. This manager's taking us down.
Before you sign off, Sav, I don't think we should sign off without acknowledging the best looking picture of Danny Kaye I've ever seen in my life. Right here.
What a pug.
Do you know, Ryan, do you know something I've never understood with Danny Kaye, right? Every time he's on a stream, and he hides his face and he puts an image up. Why does it always sound like he's trying to solve a Rubik's Cube?
I'm actually
this noise of him
stuff.
trying to do a Rubik's.
Sorry, I'm doing some stuff.
It's a Rubik's Cube, isn't it? You're trying to do a Rubik's Cube, aren't you?
It's a tape measure. I'm measuring up some stuff, and I'm on a ladder.
Look, so disrespectful. So disrespectful to the show.
I'm just embracing the Spurs way. You know what I mean?
Just quickly, I mean, dude, when you're saying should have gone all for Xavi, this is great, but ask yourself with the way Xavi plays football, what's he doing with these footballers? You honestly ask yourself. Xavi plays tiki-taka. Xavi plays keep ball, possession, fast-paced pressing, keep ball football. What on earth is he doing with this squad? I'll just leave that with you. By the way, I like Xavi. This isn't about not wanting Xavi. I like Xavi, but this is so much better than, if we had just got this guy or that guy, the whole thing's gone. Guys, thank you very much. Another shit show of a 24 hours for Spurs, and Solanke, the latest in a long line of players to come out and tell us what we already know. And isn't it worrying that we need to fight, really? What, you didn't think we needed to fight 3-4 months ago? Thank you, Stel. Thank you, Rain. Thank you, Danny.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. I've enjoyed that. I'm sending you over to Jim and Kate. When you get there, please show some support. Smash the like button for them. Subscribe to them as well. And just say FHTV or Savva Raid. For any members, I'll see you at 3 p.m. If you're not a member, I won't. Take care.
One last thing, Savva. Fuck off. Dominic Solanke.
Cheers for that, Danny.
No problem.
Cheers, mate.
Brilliant. Thank you for letting me end my show and then chucking in the F-bomb at the end. Like that's brilliant. Cheers, guys. Right. I'll see you later. Take care. And as always, Enoch out. And come on, you Spurs.
Lubo out, Enoch out.
Oh my